PodClubbers, please welcome our very own incredible PodClub member, Hanan Ezzeldin. Woo! And I've got goosebumps like for the last 2 minutes.
It's 200,000.
Oh, holy crap. I had 10,000. Okay, so I was missing a whole nother digit. We will correct that and make it 200,000. I love that.
I'm very proud of my moms. I just want to keep them together.
I love that. It's a huge commitment to building a community.
By 10%.
I mean, look, seriously, 200,000, that's wow. Wow. So we're going to get into this because I know the way that you started your journey. You are going to have to use the mic because I need to.
I will.
This is filmed, huh? We need everyone to hear your story.
Done. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
good. So there's a lot of things I want to cover with you. The main points are more about your journey and the insights that you're willing to share with us, which that can be a podcast on its own. But also I want to kind of go into your inspiration and what instigated your shift from audio to video, because that's going to be a lot of insights where people can learn from that as well. And the golden egg where we need to know a lot more about monetization. How do you do it? How are you going to do more? What is your inspiration behind that? Okay, so we're going to get right into it. The first thing I want to know a little bit more about is, at these events, we have a lot of audio podcasters who come along. And over the last few months, the guests have actually highlighted the benefits of branching into video. During the event, we had that question, why would I go into video if I already have audio? Where is it going to add value? So my question to you is, what instigated your move to video, and what insights and value have you gained from making that decision?
But I want to take you a step back because it's more important to understand why the podcast actually came to life. And that's why it went to video a year later.
Go for it.
Okay. So when we started off, I already have a community of parents. We have, the Family Hub is a company that works on creating positive parenting, educational awareness across the region. I'm not focused on one country. We're looking at the Middle East. 2021, we started, October 2021. And the core is the education. I realized early on that when I had like a workshop where people needed to come in and, you know, sit in a classroom setting and have me educate them, it didn't work. So we looked at the value of edutainment and we pivoted into that. And that's where the concept of community came. So we started to do fun events for moms that were centered around education, but it was fun. So we would go to this beautiful place. We would have the brunch, the specialty coffee, you know, the giveaways, the raffles. We'd be sponsored. Like we'd have this whole thing, and that's when I would give the information in like a capsule format, and we'd have all that story. So we started in October 2021 with like 6 people showing up. Every event now is monthly, and we have 150 moms. Alhamdulillah. Right? But this is a journey and this is another story on its own. But this is what happened. I don't like short form content. I don't. I have to show up every day on Instagram and TikTok because this is where people see us. But my go-to is always the in-depth, rich conversations. And I realized that a lot of the times we would put in something that's gold online and people would come in with so many questions and follow-up questions and so on. I've been into podcasts for years and years. I'm the only one in my family and the only one of my friends who was actually listening to podcasts. Now they've all converted, not by choice, but they've all converted. But the concept was that I wanted to do it. So this is what happened with the podcast. So we were sitting down. It was Eid, right after Ramadan. We were in Saadiyat, St. Regis, and I was sitting with my family and friends, and I looked at them, I'm like, listen, I'm starting a podcast. So my 2 best friends were sitting there like, what's a podcast? That's just Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim kida. That's just starting off. This is what they said. Exactly. These are my best friends, you know? No. Now the broadcast. Thank you. But now they're superstars, and I'll tell you the story later. But anyway, this was 2023, April 2023, Eid al-Fitr, April 2023. We were sitting on the beach in Saadiyat, and then I just told them that. And Taban, my husband, who was supposed to be here, but he's stuck babysitting. But he looks at me and he's like, Hanan, enough. Calm down. You're on fire 24/7. Enough. let's look at the plan, let's look at the budget. And I look at him and I'm like, no, I have a gut feeling about this. I want to start it off. I had a few friends who were podcasting at the time. They were in my space, in the parenting space, but they stopped doing it because it wasn't monetized. They couldn't keep it up. The different story. But I sat with them. We had a beautiful conversation. They're like, go ahead. I was a guest on their show for a few times. And they're like, listen, go ahead. You can do it. Just go in and speak in the mic. You can bring in people. I'm like, no, I love collaborating and I would love to bring in people. And that's where it started. So I did my homework. In 2 weeks, I started.
In 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
And what did you start with? Was it like a 6-month plan, a 3-month plan, a 10-speaker?
I started with a season plan, 1 season. This was May 2023. We follow the academic calendar because our audience is mostly mothers. So we follow what happens in schools. So when moms are on break, I'm off air. When moms are back on, I'm on air. Full on.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
But at that point in time, and I will say this in the nicest of terms, we are building a parenting one-stop shop for parents. We do workshops, we do community events, we do educational products, I do consultations, one-on-ones. But the podcast fit into that along with the social media content. And we started on the first day. My friends who do not know what a podcast was, I realized that I have to educate my moms because they don't know what I'm talking about. So on the first day when we were releasing, they had no clue what was going on. So I had to send links, but if they opened it up and then they couldn't find it again because they didn't understand what a podcast was. And this is something that now I really appreciate because they are now completely hooked on podcasts. Like when I was a guest with Hisham, they were all listening to him, right? Because they understand now what the value of this is. And then they keep asking me to recommend other podcasts as well. So it's been like beautiful the last year. I was very surprised that within our podcast is all about stories. So we talk about what happens in story form. So it's not I have a big issue because I'm a teacher. So I have a big issue with people speaking down to me and telling me this is what you need to do and guilting me into things. And I have a major issue with that. And I think one of the reasons why we were successful in creating the community and in creating the online platform was that we were very relatable. We would come in and say, I have this issue and I have this problem. And today I had a fight with my kid. And today my daughter did this. And today I had a fight with my husband. Like we would be very, very, very honest, but also extremely private. And this is what happened with the podcast. So if you don't know me, if you're not my friend, you wouldn't know anything about my personal life. Nothing. You don't know where my kids go to school. How many children do I have? Who my husband is? What do we do? Where do we live? When we go on vacation, you wouldn't know anything. It's 100% educational content. And this is by choice. But when we went on the podcast, the conversations, because they were so deep, they started to become very personal. And that's when I felt the high retention in the community. And that's when I felt the very high surge in the consultations of the one-on-one. When people alhamdulillah, we are almost always fully booked with the consultations one-on-one, and I do not advertise them at all. Like I never say, these are the consultations, please book them. After the podcast, the whole scene changed because of that. And this is where we started to rank in the parenting podcasts. This was not something that I was planning. I didn't know it would happen. I didn't even know it existed. You know, but then when Apple sends you something and Spotify sends you something, and then people start to say these numbers are extremely high and this is not what we're used to, you start to pay attention that there's something in there. And I didn't make a commitment to myself. What you were saying, you booked in a whole year. I gave myself a commitment until June 2023. Like this was just a 1 month, 6 weeks in, 6 episodes, very deep, very rich. And then we'll see what happens. The surge in everything made me stop and think, you know what? My moms need to hear us say that we're struggling with our kids, that somebody would do something, a big issue with their husbands and we want to get divorced, and they need to hear how raw the conversations were. They needed to hear somebody come in and say, you're not alone.
Yeah.
And
That's
this is
very powerful.
This is the story, because we always start with a story about something that is happening at home. Because of that, the audio started to grow to where it is today, alhamdulillah. When that happened, again, the ADHD, the pump, last Ramadan, the next one, which is March, we go off air. Again, Ramadan is different for us. Our moms are not listening. So we go off air last March, and I'm sitting with my team and we're putting in the plan for next year. And I look at them and I say, I think we need to go to video. And they're like, stop putting things on our plate. We are stretched to our maximum. At the time, we were 3 people. In the summer, I hired 4 more, so we're now 7. 7, and we have 2 back home, back in Egypt, freelancing. But they look at me and they're like, why are you adding more things on our plate? Why are you stretching the budget? Now, in our plan was in the 2024, 2025, again, we go academic, so it's July to June. I said that this is going to be the year where we scale. So we're launching a membership, inshallah, in Jan. We opened up the events from 80 people to 150. We've had more. We're not just doing parenting anymore. We're focusing on the moms. So we're doing self-development for moms. So it's a huge expansion plan. And they just looked at me like, it's not the time for video. And I was like, this is exactly the time for video. I cannot claim that I understand everything, but I can claim that I understand some things. And this is where the move came, because with the expansion, you need to be able to reach more people in different areas. It's not enough that you are just doing it visually. Audio. You need to do visual. And I teach CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And one of the things that we teach is the importance of being visual. People need to see something so that they believe it. The concept of, just something that is out there and we're listening to you, that's great. But also when they see you, it's different. I'm very emotional, as you can see. But on stage, I would cry and I would interact, and we have rarely edited anything because we keep it as raw and as real it is. Video has transformed the way people look at us and at the platform and everything. Last week I was off air. This week we already have 5 episodes out, and then this week I'm off, and then inshallah we start again next Tuesday. And I was giving a session in the morning, a stress management session. It was all cognitive behavior therapy. It was very deep and very much, and I had 20 beautiful moms in the room, and we were talking, and my phone and the email, so they could see, like, it was a shared screen. For the email, I swear to God, it was like, pim, 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 pim. People were asking where the episode was. And I stopped. And I'm like, listen, I gave them a break. I'm like, I'm giving you guys a break now because I need to respond to these people immediately. I looked at my phone. I looked at Instagram. I looked at TikTok. The amount of messages we got of where is the episode this week was crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. Not something I would expect, like not something that I anticipated would happen. But I think that our moms are looking for a lifeline to feel the relatability, to feel that they're vulnerable, to feel that somebody out there believes in what they're doing and is giving them something that can guide them. Therapy is expensive. We are affordable, but we're still a cost for them. So not everybody's going to be able to come to our sessions and our workshops, and that's completely understandable. The podcast has given a room for them to be able to feel relatable, and this is why it's growing. I think if I can say one thing, it's the concept of relatability, and video has added so much more depth into that. And this is me being very honest. So last year I was very sick. And I have an autoimmune disease and another one that's starting to show. And because of that, my body was flaring uncontrollably. And so I had to go on steroids for like 7 months and antidepressants. The antidepressants, I have ADHD. I've been diagnosed for 2 years. And I was resisting going on any of those medications, even though I understand what they can do to help. But I didn't want to go through it, but I went on to that. Because of that, I gained 13 kilos of weight in 7 months. This is ridiculous with my size. It's ridiculous. And my clothes don't fit. I'm not the same person. I look in the mirror. I don't know who I am, and it was ridiculous. I came June. I sat with my doctors and I told them, all of them. I said, I'm going to stop this medication. It's not about the weight, but it's about, I feel like I'm not who I am. And I need to stop this. I need to stop this now. So I went into a weaning process. I knew, I came back, we went on vacation. I came back mid-July and I had episodes scheduled. I start getting into my outfits. And for women, you understand what that's like. You get into that outfit and it's not fitting in. And then it's like, this is like, it's horrible. Yeah. But it was a huge slap on my face. I would sit down and I would cry in front of the mirror that this is not who I am. And I kept on saying, maybe I should postpone the episodes until I'm back on shape. And maybe I don't like who I am. And then I was like, you know what? It is what it is. It's going to take me a year to get back in shape. I am getting back. I'm not where I need to be, but I am getting back in health, not in shape, in health. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to show up in front of the screen and I'm not going to show up because these moms need me and I'm going to be there for them. And I went in and I shot those. And the first episode that came out, you know, my face was swollen. I was 5 kilos extra than what I am now. So it was huge. And I thought I was going to get slammed online because of the way I look. On the contrary. Because I speak about this, I speak about medication and I speak about self-confidence and body image and all of this. And the amount of positive messages that I got from random people was ridiculous. And I never said anything. Like I never told them I'm not fishing for a compliment, you know, I didn't. But this is the power of community. And I think that the shift from audio to video helped big time with that, even though our numbers on video are still relatively small compared to that. So if like 10,000 people are listening on audio, we have maybe 700, 800 views on video, you know, which is still like nothing compared to this. But I think it has transformed the way people can relate to us on so many levels. And for this, this is why I keep going.
Hanan, it takes a lot to keep me speechless. And I'm just like this. I know I say it's a fireside chat, but this is really something.
I know this story already.
I know, but it's different. You could tell me the story 20 times and every time I will pick something else up from this. Because from my side, your vulnerability, your authenticity, and I told you, authenticity is something that a lot of people talk about, but very really rarely can they actually show up authentically, and you are a testament to that. So I think the relatability, am I going to get goosebumps this entire episode? Like seriously, the relatability side of things is because you go in with the intention. So I picked up so much from what you were saying. I hope that is going to be able to answer a lot of people who have asked during these sessions, why video when my audio is already good? You've just nailed the reason that worked for you. Your emotion. And for people to see it, to believe it, that connection that we have, our synapses have to make that connection, is allowing people to learn and to implement that in their own life. Yep. Because it's very easy to listen to somebody talking. And I watch a lot of podcasts and I listen to a lot while I'm stuck in traffic. But at the same time, if I really want to learn, I think that learning comes when I'm looking at someone. And when they're bearing their soul and they're sharing something which is really raw, you need to have the eye contact. And I think there is a magic in video, which is why I think it's a growing platform and it's a growing medium. But the way that you reached into the magical side of storytelling, making it relatable, making it authentic, making it, let's say, trending topics, if you want to call it that. But something that's actually... people want to tune in. If they're calling you, where is the latest show? I mean, I'm like that. You've hit the jackpot.
No, and I couldn't believe it. Like I was not anticipating it. I didn't even mention it, you know, that this was going to happen. But when it did, it made me stop and think, you know what? This is my, but this is why when you said, why did you move? I told you need to go back to why are we doing this? Because my why is very clear. I have a message. God has blessed me with some sort of certification, some knowledge, some very hardcore experiences, very traumatic experiences from a very early age. And it has shaped who I am, who my family is, and so on. And I think that he will ask me one day, God will ask me one day, what the hell did you do with that knowledge? You know? And for me, I want to be able to say that I delivered what I could with the capabilities or the capacity that I had. And I'm not just saying this is exactly what I say. And this is what I tell my team when we go to, because we pitch all the time and we do these things all the time, and it's very draining and it's very hard. And I keep doing these sessions with them when we say, let's go back to our why. Let's go back to why we do this. Let's go back to why we do this. Remember your why. And if you do, even in the hard days, you'll wake up and you'll think, okay, I need to keep pushing. I need to keep doing. I need to keep creating. And all of us, like everybody in this room, we're all creating a space that doesn't exist.
Correct.
So when you create that space that doesn't exist, it's up to you to create it in any way you want. There is no right or wrong way. Like with all the people who have podcasts out there, none of us are the same, right? We have our angles, we have our areas of passion, we have the way that we have, even this, sometimes like Mohamed and I, we share a studio, right? The way that he films and the way that I film is completely different. You know, it's very different. But I think, and this is like the power of creation is, it's just phenomenal. And video has helped with that big time.
Beautiful. And you've actually done I love the segue that you've kind of gone into my second question there.
Really? Okay.
Because the creation side of things, I think you hit another point which has been really interesting. And again, people have highlighted this to me. And same as Mohammed, when I had a few of my episodes, I had so far 3 people who've never done any podcast, especially video. They were not, and I've talked about them many times. So I love the fact that they took this risk to do it with me. And because I gave them that safe space, and it's not easy to do, but I think it's because you've got to give them that reassurance that you're not there to make them look bad or to trick them in any way. You're just having a conversation and giving them enough room to breathe and not get caught up in their own, am I going to sound good? Are people going to tune in? Am I going to be judged? And I think there is this fear of public speaking, which is a massive fear that a lot of people have. That's one thing, but then put a camera in front of someone's face and automatically you're thinking they're going to be judging me based on what I look like. If you're not confident, and I think a lot of people here have been talking about confidence, and that element of confidence you need to have within yourself, that it's not, oh my God, I've got to make sure that I'm not going to fail. It's, if I fail, I'm going to be okay. And I think that's the true confidence that comes through people who consistently show up and just keep creating. And I think that's what I love about this community, that we are there to break these myths of, you've got to have your, everything has got to be fine done, like everything, all the details, it's got to be like ticked off and everything's got to look good and everything's going to be perfect. There is no such thing as perfection. And I think there is a beauty in imperfections. That if, like, I've had episodes where the sound has gone off for 12 minutes and then it was at the point where we were having a heart-to-heart and I was like, what do you mean there's no audio? I thought, you know what? The powers that be, whoever the higher power is saying this is something that whoever wants to hear will hear it. And if you don't, you don't. I was like, should I remove this? I thought I'm going to keep it authentic. I'm going to put it in there. Yeah. And the audio is just what it is. But isn't it interesting that people who actually show up consistently, they are the ones who are just in it for the love of what they're doing, for being a vessel of sharing the message. And that's what you're doing. And I love that. I think that's just, it's a beautiful story.
But honestly, like, people will look now and say, oh, they have this and these are their numbers and this.
Now.
But now. But that wasn't where we started.
No.
And I know it took a year. Yeah.
I'm actually curious. How was your...
It was all friends and family who didn't know what a podcast was.
but like number-wise?
Number-wise, I'll try to remember. On the first day, we got maybe 100 listens. And I didn't know if that was good or bad because nobody tells you and I didn't know anything.
And you were on
Spotify, Apple Podcast, like everything. Just audio. Like everything on audio.
Were you using a platform that just does the distribution? Buzzsprout?
I was on Buzzsprout at the time. Now I'm not, but yeah. You're telling me this now, but back then I had nobody to speak to. I had nobody to talk to. And I kept on looking online because, like, I have a master's in education, so research is my thing, I was researching and finding nothing. So I didn't know what was the right thing to do. And then my friends who had their podcast and they stopped at the time when I was starting, they had like 100,000 listens an episode, right? They were doing an amazing job, but they couldn't keep it up, right? For 7 years, they couldn't keep it up.
We're doing it for
7 years, they didn't make a penny. 100,000 listens an episode.
Did you ever speak to them and ask them, what went wrong and what they learned from this? Because they could have monetized.
They could have, but they never. This is very interesting. Yeah.
Hmm.
And something that I'm finding out through, again, the failures and all that, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yes, very true. It's very, very true.
Nobody's gonna come and hand out money.
I have listen, we've had people sponsoring our events, big brands. We've had I do our bestseller is an educational product that comes out during Ramadan and Christmas, which is like a kindness calendar, an advent calendar for kids. It's a huge hit, alhamdulillah. We've sold thousands of units over, because it's seasonal. But this is what happened. I was sitting with a friend of mine who works in Deliveroo, and it was her son's birthday, and I handed one to her as a gift. There was no intention in my brain or in my head to do anything other than that. She takes it in and she's like, I love it. And then my niece, and so I'm like, you know what? There you go. And it was as simple as that. That she's my friend and I'm gifting, and you always have some in your budget for that. And 2 weeks later, she comes in, she's like, you're my friend and I love you, but you're an idiot because I'm the marketing director for Deliveroo. In that conversation, you should have pitched that idea for me. They sponsored the kindness calendar that year, and it made a huge difference financially for us. But what happened was, she's a great person, and that's why she spoke to me. But I should have asked. I should have done that.
But
it's.
can I say something? It's actually, you shouldn't regret that so much, because sometimes you do things without expecting to also respect you a lot for that.
100%, and this is something we're doing all the time.
Exactly. When I see other people, they're being. I'm like,
No, that's not our style.
There has to be a little bit of passion. Doing it for the money, nobody.
This is the benefit.
100%.
Well, look, I think there is
There's a fine line, but you need to go out there.
The faith in the human race. You allow it. So now you believe in people who give.
But it's not the way you do business. That's the thing.
if you want to, you see that one of the elements where I think monetization is a stumbling block for a lot of people, especially in creation, content creation is that. They are waiting to hit a certain number.
Yep.
And it's become very apparent during these events that they're waiting for that golden number. Then they will go and ask for sponsorship. Then they will go and ask someone to pay. And you're thinking, well, that's one avenue. Sure. Then they're thinking, wait till I get to that number. The sponsors will come to me. And yes, that happens for some, not all. And so you have to then think about, look, we have mindset podcasts. We have confidence podcasts. There's so many. It's all about proaction. So you be proactive. You need to know what you want. And sometimes you don't know what you want. But once you hit that point of, I would love to monetize this for me to be able to continue giving, continue creating. Otherwise, like the other people, for 7 years, they couldn't monetize. So I think you do have to get to that point where you decide you're either going to do this and you're all in, or it's just going to be a side thing and you just, go to it when you can. And that's where I really want to tap into the question of consistency. You've touched upon it and you've given really good insights, but I want to know during those times, because even for me personally, the last few months, I've checked out of my podcast, and there has been a lot of times where I just thought to myself, what's the point? I have a few people who message and they're like, thank you for sharing. This has really helped me. And I'm like, okay, wonderful. That's great. Thank you. And I'm not belittling that, but I'm just thinking, am I really going to be doing more of this? Like, I love these conversations. So I don't want to get hooked on the number that I'm getting in views, because I'm not getting big views. There's only been a few that have hit over the 1,500, 2,000. And I'm like, okay. But when I hear more and more numbers, which are like 5, 6 digits, I'm thinking from where I am to be there, I don't even know how that's going to happen. I lose the motivation to want to continue. And only through these events and through this community, I have fallen back in love with the creation side of things. So I'm going to be confidently and consistently creating from November. But I want to know from your side, what do you do when you have those moments where you're thinking, either you're comparing yourself to others, which you have, but mashallah, now you're hitting the right numbers. At the early days, even you didn't know 100 was a lot. And it is a lot, by the way. What do you do? Do you have a ritual? Do you have a mantra? Do you have a process that you go through that you just say, I'm going to consistently keep creating no matter what? Do you have that? Just share with us a little bit of that so that we can learn and just kind of be inspired by you.
Okay, so if I leave myself to my ADHD, I will do nothing.
Yeah, I hear
Honestly
you.
speaking, if I do, like, I will do absolutely nothing because I'm all over the place, and my brain is working on creativity 100% of the time. My team is going insane because of this. Like, I have a new idea every 3 minutes, so it's crazy. But what has really helped was 2 things. One, I have a proper business plan in place. And I understand that the podcast is one of 6 legs that we work with. One leg does not work without the others anymore. They're all a pattern. So if I want to get our proper community event feel, my audience or my community needs to hear me every week interviewing somebody that will serve a big pain point in their life. They need to see proper content where I'm coming in, we're sharing knowledge and information for them. I do twice a month, I do a free webinar that maybe 1,000, 2,000 people sign up for. Maybe anywhere between 300 to 500 moms will attend at a time. And they come in and we just give them strong content that should be paid for. But these are certain things that I do because I need to keep these people, I need them to know that we care about them and it's not just about the money. And then they can convert to the workshop where we take a small number and it's highly priced, right? So this is our business model. This is what we do. But I understand the impact of not being there for this community, because when you're a parent, you're not given a manual. You are, especially if you're an expat parent, where your support system of your the parents, the extended family, and so on, they're not there to give you a hand. They're not there to tell you it's okay that your kid failed in an exam, and it's okay if your daughter got bullied, and it's okay if your son was the bully, and it's okay if somebody got hurt or somebody got sick. You don't have anyone to share that to. And we have become a lifeline for this, for our mothers, without knowing that this was going to happen. You know, people seek us out and look out for us, and for that we keep pumped up, we keep working for them, because I'm very, very, very blessed, alhamdulillah ya Rabb, that we have a retention rate of 70%.
Wow.
So 7 out of 10 moms who attend anything we do are going to come again. And this is a number that I do not take lightly. I take it with huge responsibility because I want to keep them coming back. And when they don't show up for a while, we reach out and we ask why. Maybe they aren't interested. Maybe they're not feeling well. A lot of times, just because we asked about that retaining group, where are they? It means so much to them that they actually feel that you care. When the moms come to our events, I have handwritten envelopes and letters to every single one of them that is personalized for her. Asking about her kids, asking about her divorce, asking about her kids, asking if she's sleeping well because of the new baby. Like, we do these things so they feel that we care. It only happens if you're consistent and if you're tracking. That's the thing. And when you have a business plan, so you have clear KPIs. Key performance, you can see them clearly. Am I hitting my numbers? Am I not hitting my numbers? This is where the numbers are important. But I don't care, and I say this and I swear I'm 100% real about this. I don't care how many views a reel got or how many likes or shares something happened, because I'm not interested in the detail, in that sort of detail. The numbers will come when you are consistent. The impact will happen when you keep showing up. And that goes back to my why. Why am I doing this? Why am I there? And I'm there because there's a message that we want to give, because this is, for me, the legacy that I'm leaving back for my family, and that the information that we have, we're so blessed that anybody can learn from the textbook, right? Anybody can learn from there's content creators doing all sorts of things. But if you were blessed with some sort of gift to be able to give that back, then I think it's a huge responsibility if you don't.
That's very true. I mean, honestly, I think what you're saying, it's ringing true to me, because I dropped the ball. and I have to be accountable for
And
my
that's
own.
fine.
And this is where I think the sessions for me were very cathartic. Like I was talking with people that I was genuinely interested in their stories, and we talked about failures, we talked about setbacks, we talked about challenges, not the success. And we've had a little bit of conversation here today. Those are the problems that a lot of people don't talk about and they shy away from. I went through my own experience. So for me, the sessions were, I want to learn, what did they do? That's why these conversations for me are gems, because I'm learning from what you did to overcome the lack of motivation or the not wanting to get on and do something because you thought, well, who's going to watch? You have a strong purpose. And I think your connection to your intention and your purpose keeps you going. That's what I understand from the way that you're expressing your why is super duper strong.
But with the why needs to come a support system. And if you don't have it, you need to create it. That's it.
That's Simon Sinek. That's one of my favorite books.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Simon Sinek.
Simon Sinek is the master when
Say
it
what?
comes to understanding your purpose.
I don't know what I just said.
We have it on the podcast. We will replay. It was just, I was like this, mesmerized. What you said was
To have your why, you have to have a system of support.
Yeah, no, you have to have a
your
support
purpose.
system. You have to have a support system because it's not always, it's actually mostly rejections.
Yes.
I'll tell you a story about this. We have two big major events that happened for us, again seasonal, because it's all about the moms. So the big one is back to school, September, and people come to the back to school events because they know I'll give them things about studying and so on, because I was a teacher for 13 years and I have my master's degrees in education. So this is our big one. And September, people are coming from the vacation, from break, so they want to connect. And then the other one is Mother's Day, which is all about fun. Like it's all about fun and fun and fun and fun, right? And it's pampering and so on. So for us to be able to do them at the level that we do, because our audience is like the upper middle class mothers. She's educated. Her kids are in the best private schools. They're in the best training. Like we have to create an event that is completely out there, you know. And most of my audience is Arab, by the way, because intentionally I believe in them and I believe in what they're doing and so on. So it's a mix, maybe 60% Egyptian, because I'm Egyptian, and then Lebanese, Jordanian, Palestinian, Sudanese. We have a few Iraqis as well. Locals, not so much. The locals come to me for consultations mostly. So almost all my one-on-ones are consultations, and they're fantastic with the podcast. That's what I'm saying. Because we have, alhamdulillah ya Rabb, we have so many legs, the moms are coming to us in different directions. That's why the podcast is extremely important. Thank you. It means a lot. Thank you.
Then when you start with the flow, I love your mindset.
Thank you.
So I feel in love with the people, they have a vision. They start to it. I know how it's hard to build.
So hard.
You build it with the beginning.
Thank you. But here's the thing. You see the magnificent result, right? Because we have a plan. So March, we sit with our team, we put the plan down, and then we know that we have the back to school event. We're doing it in the Habtoor Polar Resort, so it's extremely expensive for us to do. We have vendors, we have venues, and so on. We have a huge market. If you need people, like my community is full of moms who are doing startups, and if you need anybody on your show, I'm happy to connect you anytime, right? So this,
I'm a single parent, so
you need to come. Matchmaking.
Oh, you see a connection. I love this.
You know where to go. You know where to go. So this is another leg number 7. I need to talk to my team.
There we go. See?
I need to talk to my team right now. They're going to be loving this. But like, jokes apart, for us to be able to do that back to school event with 150 moms with all of this size, we had to get sponsorships. So we were pitching. So we pitched in 2 months. We went out to 33 sponsors, and we got 2 out of the 33. Now, when people walked into the event, they saw we were sponsored by Fade Fit, which is a Chris Fade brand. Brianna was there, Chris Fade was there. Like, it was a huge thing. So they came in, it was a thing. They come. So people will come in and see these people there, but they don't see
The back, yeah.
the journey of, oh my God, and I swear to God, this is a real thing. 2 weeks before the event, I'm opening up my bank account, and we had 10.85 dirhams in the bank account. I swear to God. 10 karak. Wallahi al-azim, this is real. And I saw the number because we had to pay the hotel, we had to pay a few things, and the money was not coming in yet. So it was a huge cash flow problem, and we're coming after the summer where it was completely dry. And I have 7 people that I have to pay their salaries in a few days. I looked at the number like this. It was during the summer, so most of my support group was not here yet. I was there. My son, who plays professional football, was away. My husband was not there. Like everybody, I was alone at home. And I swear to God, I fell on my knees and I broke down, like completely broke down, because I have the plan. I'm working my butt off, excuse my language. My team is phenomenal. They're doing wonders. And I have 10 dirhams in my bank account. It was ridiculous. I love karak, but I couldn't afford it because I'm with Buio Bank, and they kept on, this yellow warning sign. They kept on sending me this like 4 or 5 times a day. Be careful, your account is running. I'm like, I know it's running low. I know this is happening. You don't need to tell me that it's happening. But here's the thing. Why was I still creating content? And why was I still pitching to others? And why was I still doing this? Because my why was very clear. I knew that this was going to be a fail. I actually screenshot it and I sent it to the team on our group WhatsApp. I'm like, never again. There's just two words, sorry. I said, never again, full stop. And then my second in command, my business strategist called me. She's like, Hanan, I'm so sorry we weren't able to get sponsors at the time. And I'm like, sweetie, what are you sorry about? I was there everywhere. If it's on you, it's on me, and it's on everybody. But it's tough. But when people walked into that event, they were like, wow, you guys are amazing. This is phenomenal. How did you get 150 people in the room together? How did we have all of these people and all of those sponsors? And we had a kids area for the little ones. We had this amazing buffet, this, specialty coffee. I was in a pretty jumpsuit. Everybody was, polished. So people don't see that. They see the end result. But I think it's incredibly important to speak very honestly, very raw about the journey. Because most people will not continue that journey because of these setbacks.
But I think also it takes a lot of bravery and courage for people to open up about these setbacks. And this is where, again, I say authenticity is a magical trait which a lot of people profess to have, but they don't show up authentically. And I think this is one of those points where if you are an entrepreneur, business owner, whatever, I've been in your shoes many, many times where we're hitting the big numbers, we're getting the invoices coming in, everything's paid, everything's good. And then you have dry months. And those dry months, you're sitting there thinking, oh God, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay this and this? And that's when you really get tested. And I think I personally have been in those situations where I've been praying and I know that it's going to turn around. But I think faith gets you to one point. You've got to know why you're doing this. Yep. And I think your purpose is the key to creating everything that you want in your life, along with the mindset. It goes hand in hand. It's a beautiful marriage. And they're 2 very difficult things to maintain consistently. So I just, again, commend you. Go ahead.
Oh, no.
He thinks he's back in his podcast. Yes, what's the question?
I was on his show. We were crying half the time, both of us. It's half the time we spent. He tried.
He's a real man. Real men cry.
No. He was super emotional. I was, No, I didn't. Alhamdulillah. It's not the side that I want to know of Hisham.
Hisham, what's your question?
When I'm running in triathlon,
yeah.
What's your question?
Moving on. He's innocent too, but there's stuff in your mind.
Why do you feel your team?
Nice question.
Why do I feel that they believe in me? They are exceptionally good at what they do, and they get to hear it almost every day. And when I make it a point. So I lost so many people that were very dear to me very early on in life, you know, but also with friends, not just with my mother, but with friends and so on. I lost them very early on. And I realized something very early on, that you need to tell the people that you love them, because you don't know when will be the last time that you do. This was a turning point in my life, and I learned that when I was maybe 16, 17 years old. When like our best friends were together, and my cousin was there as well with them in the car. They were coming to meet us somewhere back home when we were in Egypt, and all 5 of them lost their lives over a drunk driver accident. And when I was maybe 16, 17 years old, something like that. See, that doesn't come up in your podcast. We have to have a season 2, an episode 2.
Sequel, part 2.
But but here's the thing. I tell them that they do.
Yeah.
One of the
Guys, let the lady finish.
One of the things that also makes a difference is to give feedback immediately. This is one of the positive discipline strategies when we talk to the moms. It's the quick win. What we say, a quick win. So if I see some of them doing something that's positive, I will say it immediately. And when I see something negatively, I will shoot it as it is, like completely. You messed up. You shouldn't have done this. This is not okay. Here's how we fix it. You know, so they know immediately that if I give them a positive comment, they know it's real. There's no doubt in their heads that what I say is what I do. Another thing that my community is like my baby. I say my moms. When I used to teach, I used to say my students, my kids. I used to say this, right? And I only taught teenagers. And when I first started teaching, I was 25 years old. So there was they were all in love with me, literally. Like it was another big mess, right? But this is very, very, very true. When people feel like you are invested, they know I wake up at 5 a.m. You know, I pray, I organize the house, I get the kids ready, like everything. And I'm on my laptop by maybe 5:45 a.m. They know I'm committed. They know that when I say I'm going to turn up and do this, it's going to happen. And when that 10.85 dirhams happened, I couldn't pay their salaries on time. I called every single one of them and I said, I need 2 days until the cash comes in. And they were like, a week, 10 days, we don't care. We're behind you, don't worry about it. You know? But it takes they are so invested in what they're doing. They always say, because here's the thing. I'm the face of the brand. And this is a double-edged sword. I'm the only one who gets credit from externally. So when we do a good video that they've written the script for, they say, bravo Hanan. You know, we go to the events and I'm the one holding the mic, but they've done all the legwork. They've done everything, you know? So people will come in and say, bravo Hanan. It's incredibly important for me to come up in the mic, and the first thing I do is say thank you. And I don't just say thank you. I say thank you, Muna, for doing this. Thank you, Amanda, for manning the show. Thank you, Minrit, for doing this. They're all moms and they're all women, right? And this is a very big part of our identity. But I will come in and I say every single one of them by name and say thank you to them. I cannot financially reward them at any point in time right now. One day, inshallah, and they know that. But when a client is mean to them, or when a vendor says something that's not okay, I will slaughter them. I have had a vendor who has been trying to come back to our events for 6 months. And it's a hard no. He even came up to me in the mall when I was with my husband and with Yahya, my son, and he started talking to my husband, Inno, your wife is letting go of the money. And I was like, you came in late, you spoke in a very aggressive way, and you insulted one of my team. You are not allowed into my community. We don't have, like, our packages, our sponsors and everything. It's not on the website. We vet every single person who comes. The number one rule is that they need to respect, one, the community, two, my team. They don't respect my team, they're out of here. Like, I don't care.
See, it's one thing to have ethics, values, and morals, and it's another thing to implement them and to stand behind them and to keep going with those morals, even when someone is dangling the money. Because if a sponsor comes to a lot of people, this is what I've seen. Look, event organizer, It's my job to organize, curate, and do the whole thing. And when I have to deal with vendors who are disrespectful, who are unprofessional, and who are just, they have absolutely no morals in terms of like just basic respect, for me, I have to tell the client. And when I tell the client's like, just do the job. They don't care who their sponsors are. They don't care that they have no level of respect for the brand, for the event. They don't care who's coming to sit there in the audience. They're just like, put this there and do what I'm telling you right now, or you're going to lose your job. At the end of the day, in my view, I think you have to put something that's of higher importance than financial reward. And this is one of the things that, it goes down to your authenticity. There's nothing wrong with getting paid for what you're doing and getting paid well. And you should take that as something of pride, but not to sell out for the fact that you will put your team aside. And that's why a lot of the times when I'm organizing an event and at the end of it, I'm thanking my team. Right? And then the client doesn't even acknowledge the organizers. That for me, I'm like, do you think I'm going to ever do an event for you again? Yeah. It's no. And I've done events for free. And those free events, it's been so rewarding because it's a community.
Yep.
And that's why I'm like, it's not me who's running PodClub community. I'm just doing the organizing of the event, which is one aspect. We have an entire community. And that's why I'm saying you guys are why we do this. We do this. I don't get paid for this. I do it for the pure love of what I'm doing, to bring more people together, to learn, to meet amazing people like you guys, and to build the forum that we are, because it doesn't exist. Why? Because we believe in what you are creating as content. You're all creators here. Whether you have something out already or it's just in your mind and you're thinking about it, you are a creator and you have an important message. So if we can be the vessel for you to get that message out there, let's do it. Yeah. And this is why I think the community, I feel passionate about this, because it's one of those things where if you don't believe in why you're doing this, then don't start. Because I don't think you should start something very similar to what Mohammed said as well. If you're going to do something, and also Hisham, like you need to have certain number of episodes backed up. So if you don't feel like recording, or you're just not in that vibe, you're not going to fake it and go in there and say, I'm having a fantastic time. Let's have a conversation. I quite frankly couldn't give two diddly squats about what you have to say. I'm having a really bad week right now. You have the content. So that pre-planning, I think all of this is a learning. It's a journey. And I love the fact that I'm learning from you guys in as much as I'm learning from the guests. And the guest selection for me is super, super valuable, because I have a conversation. I don't want to just be like, someone said you should bring this guest on. Yeah, okay, come on, because you have good numbers. I'm so sorry, but you do have good numbers. So that's not why I get you to be a guest. I invite you because I know you have a story, you have insights, and you're authentically going to share. What your numbers are, great. But honestly, if a lot of people are going to be inspired by numbers and that's what you're going to be bringing guests on, all power to you. But I think, again, you lose the story. You lose the essence of the uniqueness of that guest if all you're bringing them on is because they have X number of followers, or they are a very high profile or a high society kind of person. And again, nothing wrong with that. But I think you've got to own it and be like, that's why I brought this guest on.
The numbers are your KPI. They're just there for you to have a reference of what's working, what's not working, and so on. But I think that the impact and the feedback, like the qualitative information, is what will keep this growing.
Correct.
Because you're not always going to have your numbers. Like, we're not always going to have that. And there's some episodes will tank and some things will not do well. But I think that another thing with the consistency is that when you see where you might be going, and I keep saying it, I'm building an empire.
Yeah.
So one episode tanking, one reel not doing well, 10 reels not doing well, I'm okay.
You just keep going.
You just keep going because the number 11th will do well.
Yeah. It's that faith, that belief, and you just keep going because you love what you're doing and you have a higher reason for doing it. Purpose
and you're
is strong.
Learning, you're failing and you're getting up, you're failing and you're getting up. But again, back to the support group. If we don't have if you're married and you have a family, that does not necessarily mean that this is your support group. I'm blessed that my husband is, and he's like my backbone in everything I do. And I wish he was here today, but really, he is my backbone in everything I do. But also, this part is there, but also, you create the system. Within my community, there are sub-communities that I'm a part of. So we do the yoga together, and we do the Pilates together, and we do the nutrition programs together, and we do all of these things together to round up things. These people show up to our workshops, they show up to our events. We use them, we talk to them, and we get their feedback, whether it's positive or negative.
Yep.
The support group is very important. We need to have somebody who we can call when there's 10 dirhams in our account and I'm on the floor and I'm crying and there's no one around me.
Yeah.
I need to have somebody that I can call, that I can vent to about this. And it doesn't have to be, your parents, your friends, your kids. It could be somebody that is part of your network. And this is, again, a very important point. So we see a lot of the times people in our fields as competition, and we will try to, am I better than them? Are they better than me? Which competition is good, and it keeps us on our toes.
It's healthy.
And it's very healthy. But it's also extremely important to have a group within that, not everybody, that you can talk to and you can get honest feedback and honest opinions from. And I didn't have that when I started the podcast. And I didn't have that when I started the Family Hub. I didn't have that. But now, alhamdulillah ya Rabb, I have that. And part of the reason is that I invite these people over as guests. And I give them the floor to speak. And a few days ago, we were talking, so we got, we were asking, we always have focus groups all the time to ask what people think, what do you think of the episode, do you think of the events, workshops, etc. So one of them came in, she spoke about one of the other guests that I had on, and she's like, Hanan, I won't be able to attend your stress management workshop because I'm attending her session at the time. And I was like, that's great, best of luck, there's no problem. I took it this way. My team were like, what? This is not okay. I'm like, listen, there's a concept that we have called rizq. I don't know how to say that in English. I'm sorry. It's just that this is where the fruits of your labor will come in.
Okay.
That money was not intended for us anyway, because if it was, it would have come. But we were the reason to expose this guest to this lady, and she went in and it made a difference for her and her family. So the concept comes back to us, and I look at them and they looked at me and they're like, fine, you
can't argue
fine. That. They're not too happy with what I'm saying, but it is very real.
Yeah.
It's which is why when we get backlash this is very, very important. So when we get backlash online, which happens to everybody who exposes themselves and are vulnerable online, we have an army of people who go in to defend us. I don't need to reply. I do not need to respond, because I speak about things like sexual education. This is our best-selling workshop. I talk about body safety. I talk about the importance of speaking to your kids about puberty, about sex, about privacy, about body parts. I say the incredible importance of this. And I say it like this, like I said it. And I say it in Arabic, which is taboo. Yeah. So the moment I talk about this, I get slaughtered online.
Sounds a lot more intense in Arabic too.
100%. But that's why. Can you imagine? No. And then I say, talk to 2-year-olds and tell them to say their body parts as is. Not pee-pee and wee-wee and woo. And I say the name, right? Which is associated with all the swear words,
Yeah.
So people come in and they attack. And I know that this is going to happen, right? But this is when the support group kicks in. Other educators. I can take you aside for this conversation.
We'll have that offline.
Yeah, we'll have that online, because it's a very long conversation. But the importance of the support group is that they will come in and they will make that person's life miserable.
It's the loyalty. You've created a loyal community. Call it supporters, call it your client members, whatever you want to. You've created loyalty. And I think, yeah. And I think at the end,
mothers, their mothers are coming in to attack, like Egyptians. Can you imagine?
It's like Mama Bear syndrome, exactly.
100%.
It's like
they're coming, no, we're not having that. This is what's going to happen, But here's the thing, and I think that, again, back to the concept of what we were doing today, video helped strengthen that.
Yeah.
It helped strengthen that. It helped put faces to the names. They could see the emotions, and they could see what was happening on our faces.
Yeah.
And they could hear the and the breaks and breath,
Yeah,
which isn't clear on audio because we usually filter that out.
sure.
But for the video to come out streamless, you had to keep these things in. And this is where video has made an impact, in my humble opinion. It's strengthened that bond that we have with our community.
It's beautiful. And on that note, I'm going to now open it up to our community. So, audience, who's got a question for Hanan? The 1 and 2 and 3. Oh, now all of a sudden you're piping up. Okay, so I'm going to start with you. Or if I can just ask, because we do need to be out of here in the next 30 minutes, so 35 minutes. If you can keep your questions short-ish as much as possible so Hanan can respond, yeah? But feel free to also pick this up at a later point when we wrap up. Mohammed.
So my question is about the relationship between the podcast and the community. Is the podcast making the community stronger, or the community is helping with the podcast?
Both. They're both happening, and we're advertising and promoting everywhere. And it's not paid advertisement. It's just us talking about it. And this is important. So we have the moms, I swear to God, they did not know what a podcast was. Now they're asking me for other podcasts, So we've educated like a complete culture.
Beautiful.
So I've got a question about the mothers themselves and the gap that exists for them to see you as really valuable to them.
Yeah.
And one thing you mentioned was how expensive therapy is, but I was wondering if there were any other big gaps in the market right now for mothers to see you quickly and have that 70% retention rate.
I think it's relatability. So when a mom comes in and she's like, today it was not a good day, and I was screaming at the kids all day, and they missed the bus, and I had to miss work for this, or I had to miss out on going out with my friends, all that. And then there's a strategy with positive parenting that we say, or positive psychology, which is before anything, you validate. So when she comes in and she says this to me, I say, oh my God, I understand. It was tough. She's like, I feel so guilty because I was shouting and I was screaming all day. I'm like, I get it. You're not alone. I understand. And I say it like this, with this tone. And she starts to calm down. And then when she's ready, I tell her, this is the alternative to screaming. But if you do it, if out of 10 times you do it once a week, that's good enough. The concept of slow and consistent. So all of us, we have preconceived notions of what discipline is. And the concept of punishment, the concept of maybe abuse or whatever it is that a lot of people have grown up with. What we're trying to do is break that cycle. You're breaking the cycle that it's okay to have one child and not more. It's okay that your kids can be mixed together like boys and girls. It's okay that you speak to your kids about sex and about puberty and so on. It's not okay for you to hit. It's not okay for you to scream. And this is the psychology behind it. So because I have that education, we're able to relate in very simple terms, if that answers your question.
It does. And I was curious if I could get a follow-up question.
Yeah.
How much of it is also stigma that, you shouldn't seek therapy, for example, or it's
a lot
like
of it
frowned
is.
upon.
A lot of it
and
is.
they find comfort in you and the community that you provided.
But we also are affiliated to a lot of therapy sessions, therapy centers.
Okay.
And we don't take any commission on that to make it as authentic as possible. So we get some therapy centers will come in and say, we want to sponsor you guys. My answer is always no.
Okay.
I will recommend you if you guys are good, but I will not take any money from you because that puts a question mark on your credibility with us.
Right.
But these are things are very clear. And again, if my husband was here, he would tell you my wife's an idiot because she's missing out on so much monetization opportunities. But there's more to it than just the clear-cut monetization, if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah.
So we promote therapy a lot because I'm not a therapist. I'm licensed in positive psychology. I'm licensed in cognitive behavior therapy, but I'm not clinical. So I can, and positive discipline, of course. So I can help them with this. And I can help them with the master's in education. I help them with that. I'm currently getting certified as an ADHD coach to support as well. But these are December, inshallah, I'll be done. So these are things that I can help with. But a lot of times they will come in and they'll say, my kid is suicidal. I will refund them immediately. And I will call any of the centers that we deal with. And I will say, you need to open up right now for these people. but I take no money from them. So I will refund that appointment. And a lot of times they're like, don't refund us. We've taken up your time. I'm like, that's fine. But you're going to be paying hundreds of thousands right now for you to get your kid, get your kid into the hospital, and then we talk money. And that's what keeps them loyal, because they understand that we're on their side when it comes to this.
Right. They feel a sense of belonging and the community, someone's caring for
Somebody
them.
that they can talk about. Yeah, it's real
They're
support.
not doing it to be paid or looking at the bottom line. What they're doing it is, can we help? Yes, let's get the help done. Then call and say, hey, by the way, you need to. You know, it's like when you go to hospital in some countries. Do you have insurance? Is what they ask you, and the person's sitting there and like, can you see? Like,
dying,
Now?
literally.
Like, just give them help. They don't think about that. So I think this is where the difference is.
But we get paid عادي. Like, if anybody wants a consultation from me and they will call me up on the phone, everybody has my number, yeah? I'll say, I'm so sorry, I cannot give you the time now. This is, and I'll send them the Calendly link. If the timings don't work for you, call me and we'll get it done. You know? But if they want a consultation from us, they will get paid. If they want to attend their events, they need to pay. If they want to attend any of our workshops, they pay. And we have so many methods of payment, so it's fine. But we will also support on other fronts.
Right.
Make sense?
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Maha.
Thank you for this amazing story. You shared these details. It's really inspiring.
Thank you.
Okay, you went to podcast through your community and your project as a support leg, as you said.
Exactly.
Do you think we can do we start from podcast to create community and project?
100%, but I think it's harder. And I really appreciate like all what everybody is doing if they're doing this without the community, because it was already extremely hard for us to do it when I know that we can have listeners already and there are people already listening, you know? If you do it in the other way, I'm sure like everybody's doing it that way. What we're doing is not the common thing.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So, if we, for example, like Dina. She had already community about lipedema ladies.
Yep.
And she go to podcast. But if, for example, if she start with podcast, do you think she could create community and
100%? And this is what we're seeing with everybody. This is what we're seeing. But I think it's harder.
Yeah, it's harder.
Why do you think it's harder?
Because you're starting with no base.
But don't you think that building a base using the wider audience online is, I mean, that's why social media is so easy to go, I say that very easy, so easy to go viral. It's not, but you have a high probability of going viral if people are resonating with your content. Hello, it could be weird, and I say this, like I am helping clients create these things, but it's very against, like I would tell them, please don't do the TikTok dances and these stupid challenges. You're better than this. Let's not.
Allah, my mom would slaughter me if I do the TikTok. That's not an option.
Create quality content.
Yeah.
So I think if you hone in on your message and maybe like find the niche and understand that there is going to be an audience for you, from that, you might find maybe 20 other podcasts. I mean, there's so many business podcasts out there, entrepreneurs, founders, even failures. There's one of the most successful ones, How to Fail. Yeah. When I was launching that, do you know How to Fail? I was like, who the hell is How to Fail? I Googled it. I was like, yeah, but she doesn't do what I'm doing. Like, she's good at what she's doing, but my perspective, which is what Hanan said so beautifully, everyone has their own unique quality that they bring to the podcast. Building that niche, you will be able to then connect, and that connection can build. How you monetize is different. You can build clients from it. That's what a lot of coaches do use a podcast, put themselves as a person of authority, and then they start building, that client base based on it. So you can, it depends which way you want to do it.
May I add something? So I agree with Hanan that community is even better. In any business strategy, you start with one client to test. It's about relatability, it's about the relationship. When you go online, you don't have a strong rapport. People who follow you. Sorry. So I was saying, building a community is wiser business side, because when you are building that rapport, the relationship with one client, you are learning what they want and you are really relating to them and you are learning from them and you are building for the next client. But when you go online, you go wider and you don't even have deep relationships. So they're not opening up as when you meet them face to face. So when you start with a community, we start small and you start growing and you learn and you relate and you build the loyalty and you build the relationship, then online will follow. But if you start online, it's not as deep.
I think it depends what your business is.
Same.
I think it depends what your
Fami-
field, your
families and
industry, your
mothers.
sector. It makes
And-
difference.
and
I think.
medical.
Yeah, this is a very different level in terms of. There was another question somewhere. Yes, go ahead.
Just in general, everybody here.
Go ahead.
I come from Europe, and I have never made any money on YouTube. I mean, I do have a YouTube channel, and I just followed Hannah. We had already a conversation, so I have a very strong community. There is 130,000 mummies on my community, and I feel really empowered by all of them because, as Hannah said, they've been there for me in a times when I had some pitfalls. And so the question is, we moved here. When you talk about monetization, what do you actually refer to? Because my Instagram and TikTok did help me to earn a lot. And in sense, when I say a lot, I have never accepted any influence or any sponsorship because we did try to declare ourselves as educators. So trying to accept sponsorship for me was no, because I didn't want families to relate me to somebody who takes the money from any sense of what I do. Because as again, Hannah said, we share a lot of same philosophy. I have a very strong why I do this. So when they come with this money and they offer me, I always said no, I don't want to take it because it does not match the philosophy nor the values that we try to spread around there. But then moving here, and we do have a very strong numbers there. And as I said, my Instagram profile did bring a lot into the company, and I have never paid. We grew organically, and all of the products that we sell, all of the workshop, all of the webinars we sell by just the word. I mean, the parents recommend us so. But here it seems to me that everything is really different. So the question for all of you, what do you say? I mean, I tried to think about the idea starting a podcast because, as I said, I have a strong community and they kept continuously like nudging me, do it because we want to hear you in a much longer format. So not just in the 15, 20, 30 minutes, but how to actually know what is good. So what would I mean, here in Dubai, of course, I'm talking about. So would you say that making like, I don't know, just to try to convert it into the dirhams. So like 20, 30,000 of dirham a month, would that be something that is good for the business or that's not worth doing it? Because what I don't want to try to do something new and spread off a lot of time because they did give me idea I should do it. And I don't want to do it for the money. But as Hannah said, you have a people to pay salaries. If you grow, you also need to take new courses and everything. So do you think that like something around 20, 30,000 of dirham that makes a sense to do some podcasts for it, or this is not? I mean, I don't understand how does it work in this sense of the money here about the podcast. So, is it something that?
How much?
Well, I don't know. So, how much costs? I mean, you are podcasters here. So, how much? Okay.
If you are one person,
Okay.
you're just going to record video,
Yes.
and then you just want to put that out there and let it organically, then you need to cover the cost of the time, editing, and then the rest of it you. That's going to be whatever you end up making in sponsorship. But if you have people, so for example, my side, I have to.
How much would it be in a month? Let's say, like you pay for everything. So how?
How many episodes you're going to do per month?
Okay.
It
So.
depends how you're going to promote. Per episode, I would make maybe 3 reels. Content enough. On some, I put 5. So it can't be like I have this spreadsheet. So I think you have to do else and then just do some research. 5 to 10. If she's the solo person.
Episode per week.
I have so.
Like you.
Are we talking dirhams or?
Dirhams.
What currency are we talking about?
Yes, dirhams.
And how many episodes?
Hisham Hamdani.
Conversation with Hisham.
What currency? That's a good question.
5 to 10,000.
But how many episodes?
1 per week. 7 reels every topic.
7 reels per week?
Yes.
Yes.
How long for?
Select VIP agency.
So that would be approximate cost for us.
Maybe I'm getting it.
احنا جايين معاكي.
We speak daily. How do unless he's happy. He's happy to talk to me. He's happy with it.
He doesn't say it's a problem.
And how much is something normal? Because I've been offered, so there were sponsors that they came to offer because. So how much is? I mean, I don't know how much should I say yes or no. I don't want to
normal again, for example, I've done it for clients, right?
Okay.
And how many of them? How many? There's all of this anyway. That's all the. But, am I giving the names? No, you can't give me any trouble. So the main point is this: if you want to ask for 1,000 times, right? Do that. Then there are also kinds of 1,000 doesn't necessarily mean one is going to be better than the other. If their numbers match in terms of the demographic, in terms of what the media gets, what does that look like? Are your audience matching their audience? Yes? But that's what advertising. That's all it is.
We are always covering. In Europe, we always cover. We don't do anything if you don't have it to pay from your own pocket, because I've been there where Hannah been on the beginning, and I said, I'm never going to do anything to be dependent on other people because it causes lots of stress, and then you can't be who you are and you cannot enjoy what you do. So whenever we organize any events or anything, we upfront pay everything, and then on the end of the day, if it was successful, but we don't do anything with sponsorship. If it comes, we don't depend on it. And here it seems to be that everything is quite the opposite.
No,
and I'm really
no.
No?
It's not the opposite. No,
Okay.
it's not.
Okay, so that's a normal practice. I mean, I pay everything, and okay.
Yes, you can. Again, that you can go with a partner, you can share it. You can work. Here, that's the you don't have to on here. Everything. I really everything. So if everyone's doing this and you come here, generally, I think all everything else always different, and you are probably way, and other people are like, oh, where and how did she do this? What's going on? So someone might say, have 1, 2, go, double down on your niche.
No, I
Go
know
with
that.
that.
I'm just
Doing
okay.
something different. So what I'm saying is, there is a manual. What I've realized is there's, like, honestly, I started my first season with 10 episodes, sponsored, but I had 0. I had nothing. And I went in there and I was like, and they're like, well, yeah, I'm found someone who had the same value. They believed in what I was doing. They said, look, this is what I want to be part of. Whether you get 2,000, did it. Absolutely experiment. You believe in what I was doing. So again, just don't follow what everyone is doing. I think that's you. Look at your costs. Covering your costs. But we can also have a conversation later and you can get more advice. Let's do this as probably the last question. Okay, now everybody wants to say something.
All right, guys, I'm gonna try to be as concise as possible here. All right, so touching on what you have said before regarding authenticity, which I completely agree, to be honest. I believe authenticity matters on the internet, especially on a podcast. So how do you manage this? How much you share regarding your personal life, or perhaps, the experiences you have had before? Because people want to actually listen to those kind of stories, right? How do you actually manage? How much do you share, and what's your criteria when it comes to
I have one
your
criteria,
content?
just one. It is.
Especially in the need.
I have one thing. When my son will listen to this, and he's 16 years old now, will it be okay for me to share this story or not? Full stop.
I have the same.
Right.
That's it. Everything else is okay, because I mean, there are some things that are private that you will never come up and say, of course. But we say it. No, and we say it, and we again, the more we humble ourselves too, because here's the thing, and this is, and I think with your education, and you understand that the more you learn, there's a little bit part of the ego that gets in. Absolutely. Where you start to think, I know a lot. Oh my God, I'm so smart. Oh wow, I have all this information. But I think having, like for me, it's praying, meditation, yoga, whatever works for anybody. Mm-hmm. And you humble yourself and you understand that this knowledge is a gift or a blessing from a higher soul. He can take it like this, or it can be used against you. So when you're humbled with that, and you understand that no matter how much you know, there's still so much out there that you don't. Yeah. And if you, we lived in Geneva for a while in Switzerland. Okay. And I used to work in the International School of Geneva. This is the school that invented the IB program. So everybody who was there was either an examiner or I had a master's degree. And when I used to teach in Saudi and when I used to teach in Egypt, I was creme de la creme of everybody there. Seriously, I would sit down at the end of the year and get these offers from all those schools, and I used to think I was so up there. Okay. But subhanallah, God has a way of humbling you. So you go in there and you find that all your colleagues have PhDs. If not one, they have 2 and 3.
It's a common thing. Exactly.
And I'm so much younger than them. And this actually happened. So the director of the school who hired me, I'm sitting there and I'm teaching IB economics like all the other, humanities teachers. And he looks at me in front of like a room of 200 people. He's like, so Hanan, when are you going to start your PhD? You're the only one here who doesn't have one. I swear. He's my mentor, by the way. He's one of my mentors. And he was saying it as a joke. But I applied for my PhD like a few days later. I thought, no, I didn't finish. That's it. I had to make a choice actually because I did write my proposal and I submitted it and it was accepted. But I thought I would put it as a halt. I did, and then this was there, and I didn't finish it. And then I started actually a master's degree in psychology, and I also stopped, and I couldn't because that was when the family hub started to rise. So I had to make a choice: either you lead the business or you study. I can't do both because I'm an A student, so I needed to get my A. And I was doing the psychology with Harvard Education School. So they were like, you had to read like these books, and it was crazy. But as much as I wanted the knowledge, I couldn't acquire it at the time. It humbles you when you know that you're not the best out there, and you have to work to earn 1, the trust, 2, the respect, 3, the credibility from people. It's not enough that you have the certifications. You really, really need to trust. And when you teach teenagers for 13 years, it humbles you big time because they don't care about your certifications. You will step into that classroom and they will look you up and down, and they will make an evaluation about you in 7 seconds. You either earn them. Teenagers, they want to feel that you care. Full stop.
I think that's a human thing. Yeah. It's a basic human.
We were all teenagers. This is no joke. Wallahi, this is very serious. And when we used to have like when we used to take exams, so they're sitting down in the room. I'm proctoring them, and you can tell like the body language they're not okay. But I would step back and I would just gently nudge them at the shoulders, just a little tap, boys and girls. And then they would sit down, they would look at, they would smile. Just, it's a 3-second interaction, okay? But it meant so much to them that it's not just about that grade that because I'm gonna fail them in a few minutes, They're gonna give me an exam and I'm gonna slaughter them. The red pen is gonna come up there and I'm not gonna be nice because I was a very tough teacher, very strict, very tough. And I always used to say, hate me for the right reasons, you hate me anyway, hate me for the right reasons. But they felt that, and I think this is what helps with the community as well. When they feel that we care about them, we care about their children, we care about their stories, we care about we know that some of them could, for example, they're going through something financial and they want to come to the community event, which is 200 dirhams, by the way, which is not a big deal at all. But at one point in time, it could be an issue for some of them because you know them. I will call them up and I swear this is, alhamdulillah, my husband's not here. I would call them up and I would say, Sarah, I know this is happening at home. Actually, no, I wouldn't say that. I would say, Sarah, I saw your names not signed up so far. I have a few extra tickets because we're selling out. This one is a complimentary from us. Hanan, I want you there. We can't have the event without you. Are you joking? If I will never tell her, it's because I know she's struggling through this, which I found out through the Vine because we have a strong community. But people will tell you things, But you find that out and she will come in and she will get you like a flower bouquet that's much more expensive than the actual ticket, But it's because she felt that she was a worthwhile member, and out of 150 people, it mattered to you to have that extra person. Hey, that's it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, but this is what we do.
Okay, this is going to be the last question. Fight it out, guys. I don't know who it's going to take. I think, mashallah, you've asked like 20,000 questions.
That's a shame.
There's one person that hasn't asked a question. I think, Hamad, you had your hand up, right? Okay, I'm making executive decision.
Instagram related.
Executive, what?
Instagram related.
Look at the men. Look at the men owning their space. Oh my God. He speaks to me every day, like literally. I wake up and Hisham.
Okay, what is it? Quick.
He's manipulating everywhere. He's on WhatsApp and he's on Instagram and he's on the personal. Khalas ya Hisham.
All right, I appreciate the answer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Then you ask me why they hate me.
What's the question?
So, my short question. Actually, I am amazed what you built. MashaAllah.
Thank you.
My short.
Please. Applause is coming. Let's shorten his question.
Oh my God.
مش ممكن. Go.
This one is short. This is a very long question. Yeah. Come on. Time. We're gonna be kicked out soon.
My question is very easy.
I take breaks. Because we're very well planned, alhamdulillah. So we always have episodes. We always have video content. We always have like carousels that have been there for a while. So because we're very well planned, we're able to be consistent online when I don't have to be physically there. Number one. Number two, the support system, again, is extremely important. I love my friends, I love my family, and they know it, and they show up for us all the time. But this becomes extremely important, where I'm very honest with myself when I feel the burnout. Very, very honest. I will look myself in the mirror and I say, today you need to sleep. But this week, I was speaking 6 times in the last 4 days. They're all very important and they're all extremely like things that I'm passionate about, and there were conferences and there were our workshops and there were kids. But I'm so drained today. If this was not fairy, I would not be sitting here today. Because of what we're doing. Yeah, it is very tiring. It is very, very tiring. And it actually showed, like last week, I was doing a stress management class, and we always do online and we do face-to-face in Dubai. So when I was doing it online, we had 12 people sign up. This is my maximum, so I don't take more than that. So we had 12 people sign up, and because it's a recorded course, and I do it live, but it's also recorded. So 2 people showed up out of the 12. Because they were going to see it. So it's very cognitive behavior therapy, but they needed to do a lot of things with us to get the proper value, right? By them not showing up, I couldn't do any of the activations. I got very triggered. And already I was burnt out. I wasn't doing well. It was not a good session. I was very negative. I was not well. Again, the value of the community. So out of the 2 people who showed up, one of them called me up, sent me a message on Instagram saying, Hanan, listen, I know you're stressed, I know, and so on, but I've attended, this is the first time I attend a session to you, and I came based on recommendations and word of mouth, and you started off with a negative tone, and it carried with you for the next hour. And I just wanted to tell you because I care and because I love the value in what you do. So I'm telling you now that I was expecting to get so much more out of the session and I didn't. And it hit me, and she's absolutely right. I did a bad job and I shouldn't have, because I care more about these people. It's not about me, but I made it about me. But it's not about me. So I apologized to her, of course, and I invited her to the face-to-face session that was on Tuesday. And she came and she was lovely, and it was a very strong session. It was very packed. It was very, very rich. And then I said, okay, you know what? There are 10 people who are supposed to see that session, and they're going to see a negative one that's not full of value. I'm going to scratch it, and I'm going to offer another one for free that I'm doing, inshallah, next Thursday for them. And I apologized. I sent a very raw email saying, I was wrong, and this is not correct, and I shouldn't have done that. And we are very sorry, but we're going to repeat the session, inshallah, next Thursday, the 7th of November, from this time and this time. And it would be great if you can make it. If you can't, we understand. But thank you for appreciating this. And even if nobody shows up, I promise to deliver a proper one. And I did. This is where the community comes in. She felt like she could tell me this, and I had to step up, even though I wasn't doing well. But it's a double-edged sword.
Ahmad, you're going to give us our last question, and then we're going to wrap up, please.
Yeah, sure. Can I get the mic if it's...
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
First of all, thank you so much for your answers. They were beautifully structured and everything. So I have a podcast. It's mainly supposed to be about business, science, entrepreneurship, etc.
Yeah.
The thing is, sometimes we have reels that go really viral, but let's say it's because a guest is talking about like a scary experience that they had, but it's not true to the podcast. So it's very enticing to, like what you said, what's your why? Things that don't necessarily align with what my why is, sometimes when those avenues are going well, it's very enticing to go into that direction and to change your why, but then you're not being true to yourself. So how do you like balance between like seeing actual results that may not necessarily be aligned to what you are intending your goal to be, and also like balancing between being authentic? Because like I'm like, bro, I should start doing like horror episodes, but I don't that's not true to myself, so what would you advise in that case?
Honestly speaking, I don't care at all about vanity metrics. None. Because what are they called? They're called vanity metrics. So it's about the ego. It's about us wanting to that. I've been online for 3 years. We've went viral 7 times, and I don't care at all, and I don't look for that. Every time a key piece of information will come out, I will ask my team and I'll ask myself, as a mom, is this something that would add value to me or not? Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes it's no. If it's no, I'm going to scratch it. Again, we go back to what your why is. We haven't been doing well for a week, for example. None of our reels have gotten any sort of engagement that's proper, but we're still putting out content every day. One of them will do well, inshallah. Out of 6 this week, 1 has done well, or not well, gotten the engagement, which is the vanity metrics that people are looking for. The rest have tanked, and you know what? That's okay. That's completely okay, because the 1 or 2 or 3 or 500, like for us, if we get anything below 1,000 to 2,000 vanity metrics with our size, this is low engagement. Okay, so if we get 500 likes, then this is low compared to our numbers, right? But this is 500 people who have said that what we've done has resonated with them, that have subscribed to our newsletter or our emails or whatever. Listen, I'm gonna share the newsletter with them. Yes. No, seriously, I'll share something with you today. So yesterday I was in the Crunch Mom Summit, and I was giving a talk I was mentoring women on social media and podcasting. So every Wednesday at 11 a.m. we have a newsletter that goes out, right? Our open rate is anywhere between 30 to 67%, right? This is huge, right? But what we're doing is that the newsletter is a story that I share, something from the classroom, something about this is again the personal life, all of this. It's something there that is valuable, and then we share what's coming up next. So I forgot to schedule it. I had it done, and I forgot to schedule it, right? So I looked up, I'm like, why isn't there nothing traction happening from this newsletter? And it was because I forgot. So today, again, I wake up at 5 a.m., I wake up 5:30, so I looked up and I was like, you know what? The newsletter that I was getting, I want to write something different, okay? So the title of the newsletter is, Am I, 2 dots, good enough? And then the other subject title, yes, probably, but we just don't know it. All right? So here's what I wrote. By the way, I'm a published writer. I've written things before, but this is a different story for a different day. So I was asked to mentor women on the topic of social media and podcasting in the Crunch Mom Summit. Then I was asked to speak about my podcast in the PodClub community as the #1 parenting podcast in the UAE and Egypt as we speak. You know what my first thought when I was asked? What? Me? What do I know? I'm sure there are tons of experts out there who know so much more and are so much more capable. Guess what? The mentoring was a sensational success, and it turned out that I do have things to share that I can support other women on the business front as well, outside the realm of parenting and education where my background is. All of us, and I do mean all of us, put ourselves down regularly. We think less of us and are shocked when we hear people say, "You're beautiful, your energy is amazing, your kindness made a difference, you are so talented, you're a great mother, wife, daughter, sister, friend, I love you." I will ask you today to reach out to someone who needs to hear a positive message and just give her some love. We all need it and need to spread more of this kindness into the world. And then I went into what was coming up, right? What's the open rate? We were around 50% and this came up in the morning. By the end of the week, it's going to be much more. But I think this is where the valuable conversations come in. At the same time, we have 2 reels that tanked in the last 48 hours. But again, this is a vanity metric that we're not interested in. We're looking at that authentic conversation that will convert people to actually come into the community and do whatever it is that we're looking at, if that makes sense. Don't look for viral. That's my piece of advice.
That makes sense. Thank you so much.
And on that note, on the other side. I don't want to end this, but you can tell because I've just been like this. But we do have to end it because she has to go home. We have to go home. It has to come to an end at some point, right? Yalla, invite them here. We can invite. We have food here. No issue.
My son is going to come.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to get your. Okay, your son is going to have steak and fries. No biggie. So, I just wanted to again thank you for your time.